So looking to famous artists or artists that you admire who also have this issue and talk about it, or you can see it through letters, is really helpful in just bringing that pedestal down to recognizing that you're both just humans experiencing life. Hello my friend, thanks for being here. I want to talk today about self-doubt as an artist and what that can look like and how you can overcome it. Because I have been there and continue to be there. It kind of doesn't really go away, it just gets easier. Or you learn to create with the doubt. And it can kind of catch you off guard. It can catch you when you're visiting an exhibition, say, and I will go along and look at these other artists' work and they're so amazing and they're things that I can't do, or the way they've captured a concept, or the way they've talked about their idea through art and expressed themselves is so impactful and it really moves me. And then there can be, in the back of your mind, a little bit of, oh, they're better than you. Your art's not as good as that. Oh, you think your art is good? No, look at this stuff. This is why their art is in a gallery and yours is not. All that mean stuff that your brain can say, it's so mean. We don't like her. It's essentially really unhelpful because all of those things aren't true. An artist in a gallery, say, is no different to you doing art in your bedroom, from bed, with a cup of tea and Netflix on. Just me? Is it just because essentially what we're doing is putting other artists on this pedestal and we're down here and they've been already approved? Their art is unanimously agreed upon that it's good or it's impactful or whatever. But this idea that these artists have already been approved of, or that their art is good and yours is not good, is really our own opinion of our own work. It kind of speaks a little bit to my video I made a couple of weeks ago where I talk about validating your own art and that you have to be the one to validate yourself first because other people just don't do it. But something that really helped me was seeing other artists, particularly famous artists that I really admired, and seeing them, recognizing them for literally the humans that they are. Really learning about the artist's life and their process, their routines, and usually their struggles that go with it, their challenges, and seeing that, oh, it's just another artist, it's just another creative person, and I have those problems too, we're the same. This happened to me. I used to really love, in high school, an artist called Eva Hesse. She was a sculptor and I was doing loads of sculpture at the time and I just really admired what she had done and her art and her vibe. I resonated with her. And of course, she was American and I'm in New Zealand, so that's already creating all this distance. And I was reading about her in books and I was looking up her stuff on the internet. You know, there's already that distance that she's different to me or unattainable, unreachable, and her art is so good. I'd already put her up there on that pedestal and I was down here in reality. I stumbled upon a letter that was written by Eva Hesse's friend, Solomon Lewitt. In this letter, he was encouraging her just to create. And I'm going to read you some because it's such a beautiful letter and such a lovely friendship that they had, but being able to see that clearly Eva Hesse was just really struggling with self-doubt, imposter syndrome, procrastination, all those things that I would constantly struggle with and thought maybe I'm just not a good artist. Maybe I'm just not cut out to be an artist because I can't get past all of this challenge around making something. And I would just keep hitting this brick wall of doing nothing because I thought my work was crap, so why start? And here was this letter encouraging Eva Hesse to do something because she was experiencing these things too. Turns out she was just a person, just another woman like me trying to make art authentically. I'll link this in the comments or the description or whatever, because it's really fun to read if you are struggling with self-doubt or imposter syndrome. But LeWitt goes on to talk about things like, you have every right to create your art. He says, just stop thinking, worrying, looking over your shoulder, wondering, doubting, fearing, hurting, and just hoping for some easy way out. I was like, oh, that's me. Stop it and just do. He says, don't worry about being cool. Make your own uncool. Make your own world. If you fear, make it work for you. Draw and paint your fear and anxiety. And stop worrying about big, deep things such as to decide on a purpose and way of life. I feel so called out. Or trying to find a consistent approach to even some impossible end or even an imagined end. I have much confidence in you, and even though you are tormenting yourself, the work you do is very good. Try and do some bad work. The worst you can think of, and see what happens. But mainly relax and let it all go. You are not responsible for the world. You are only responsible for your work. So do it. I like that he says about not being responsible for the world, because often I can get weighed down by maybe other people's opinions or trying to control so many different elements that are just beyond control, beyond what I'm responsible for. It's beyond your control. It's beyond your responsibility. It's beyond your pay grade, for sure. You're only responsible for showing up, doing the work. And you are responsible for your mindset. So having all this self-doubt is something we do have to try and control or try and navigate the best we can. And one thing that really helped me was being able to see that you're not alone. That actually, I have this, you have this, other artists have this, or you might do, I don't know what's going on for you, but there's plenty of creative people that want to create and really struggle to do it. So looking to famous artists or artists that you admire who also have this issue and talk about it, or you can see it through letters, is really helpful in just bringing that pedestal down to recognizing that you're both just humans experiencing life. Some other artists that I really admire are, I thought I would show you. This is work by David Shrigley, a British artist, and I really like his cartoon style. His very simple drawings are what I'm drawn to, and it's usually just black and white line drawings and quite cartoon-like, which I guess is my vibe. David Shrigley is somebody who kind of just does what he authentically wants to do just because he likes it or he thinks it's funny, and he will start with no plan. And he will have a piece of paper and a list of stuff that he fancies drawing, and will just go ahead and draw that. And he allows the drawing to just become and develop on its own, which I really love, because we've talked about that, like letting go of that control and just being able to see where it evolves to. If you've seen any of my earlier videos, particularly the post-it note videos, where I talk about just drawing a line, just starting with a singular line, and see where that goes, it can develop and take you into a picture or a piece of writing or some sort of weird blob that you turn into something. It's so fun. It's fun to develop and see where it goes without having a plan, without having any kind of goal, with purely just having that goal of turning up, sitting down and making something, creating something. So I really admire his work. Somebody else I really love is Tracey Emin, and she's a British artist who has a huge career and has done so much variety and so many cool things. But one of the things that I'm particularly drawn to are her monoprints. I really like her use of line. Again, it's really simple, but it's quite emotive, and particularly in this drawing here where it's titled, There Was No One Else There. And it brings up a lot of emotion for me, being able to see this scene that she's captured. And it kind of speaks a little bit to my work, where I try and capture little scenes from the day and the emotion that was going on for me at that time. I also really like how she uses herself. She puts herself in the images, and they're not perfect. You know, they're really expressive. They're really drawn, often quite roughly. Like this even looks a wee bit like a stick figure. If I had drawn that, I'd probably beat myself up about how it doesn't look like a real person, or am I 5 years old? Why am I drawing stick people? You know, I would berate myself about that. But then it's okay for Tracey Emin to do it because she's, you know, Tracey Emin. So it's trying to move that mindset that she's a person, I'm a person. It's okay to create art like this if this is authentic for you. If this is what you want to express in the moment, do that. So essentially it's about collecting evidence for yourself, showing yourself that your artwork is just as good as somebody that you previously could only just admire or thought was on this pedestal. And you know how I always say to put your artwork on the wall so that it's reflected back at you. So you're seeing it all the time. You're seeing what you like, what you don't like, what you want to create more of, what you want to move away from. And you're also reinstating how much work you're doing. You're reinstating this idea that you're an artist, you're doing it. It might even be helpful to stick up some of the artworks from other artists that you resonate with, to show yourself that you belong within that space, that you are part of that. You're just part of the creative world, the creative realm. And watch your self-doubt fade away as you give yourself more evidence to prove yourself wrong. So looking at Tracey Emin's monoprints today has kind of re-inspired me, and I want to make some monoprints because I don't think I've done that here yet for a while. So let's just do a monoprint.
So monoprinting is a form of printmaking, but you can usually only take one print from it instead of as if you were printing from a press. And I really like monoprinting because you can draw on it and it takes a print from your drawing on the other side. So here I'm using watercolor inks and it's easier to clean up that way. I started drawing a figure of me sitting in a chair because I was inspired by Tracey Emin. But I immediately regretted drawing this arm. I don't know why I drew that like that. It just didn't work for me. Ended up drawing a drink bottle and then immediately regretted that too because it looks like I'm a raging alcoholic sitting in my chair in the middle of the day on my phone having a drink. With monoprinting, you have to keep sort of checking to see if the print is working on the other side. And another challenge with monoprinting, which I quite enjoy, is if you add any text to the image, you have to write backwards so that it comes out the right way on the other side. Taking the first print from your ink is always risky because you can often get the balance of ink wrong, like I have done in this version. So I actually contemplated not showing you the first image because I didn't like it. It picked up too much of the ink and just ended up smudging a lot of the text and a lot of the picture. So I chose to do it again, do another one, and not use the drink bottle this time. I just shoved the arm underneath the other arm to hide it because that just didn't work. We learn from our mistakes. It picked up less ink this time on the second print, which did work better for me, but unfortunately the text was still smudged somehow, and only in that one area. So I must have put my finger down too much, I'm not sure. But this was unsatisfactory for me, so I've decided to just collage over it with actual writing and see if that works slightly better. You can see I have a support chocolate with me by this time as I'm getting frustrated. Here I'm deciding which one do I like better, the actual drawing or the monoprint version of it on the other side. It's hard to decide between the two. Which one do you prefer?
Thank you for watching, my friend. It's so good to have you here. In summary, get yourself some evidence from artists that you really aspire to and admire, and show yourself that actually they're just people just like you. They have the exact same challenges and worries and self-doubt that we all do. Thank you for your comments. It's so heartwarming and so beautiful to hear your stories, to hear your challenges, and it's really affirming for me to know that I'm not alone in these creative inner worlds that we make for ourselves. If you haven't got yourself my book, then please feel free down below. It's 100 Days of Drawing Art, where I talk about what it was like to draw 100 days in a row as somebody who cannot commit to anything, not even a phone contract, let alone drawing for myself. So I talk about what actually helped me to achieve that, and the good and the bad, including all the drawings. But if you're new, then please like and subscribe, because I love hearing that it's actually adding a little bit of value to your day with these videos, and that really means the world to me. Where was I going with this though? Beyond. Stop doing that.